Hello, welcome to San Francisco Zine Fest 2021 Cyberfest Rebooted. This is our closing party hangout. This is our last event of Cyberfest Rebooted. And we want to thank everybody for being here. This has been just a really special week plus. Just to give you a sense of what's going to happen. It is a party, but we do have an agenda. I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction to San Francisco Zine Fest, go over our house rules and expectations, give you an opportunity to meet this year's organizers, including myself, then go over some stats about this wonderful week. And then we're going to have some questions for people who are here in the webinar, some thank yous, and then just kind of final housekeeping closing. So San Francisco Zine Fest, founded in 2001 as a gathering place for writers and artists from around the world, but especially the Bay Area. It's typically held as a one-day event at the County Fair Building in Golden Gate Park. And our 2019 festival had about 240 exhibitors and over 5,000 attendees. That was the last year that we were in person. Due to COVID-19, our 2020 festival spanned 3 weeks and encompassed over 21 days of zine-related activities and was 100% virtual. This year, San Francisco Zine Fest 2021 has been a 9-day, mostly virtual fest with a few in-person workshops, plus collaboration with local Bay Area bookstores. So, Cyberfest Rebooted. What is it? Last year, we had Cyberfest. This year, we have Cyberfest Rebooted. It has been running from August 28th to today, September 5th. We've been having exhibitor show and tells, readings, workshops, demos, and interviews. And this year, even after today, through the entire month of September and probably beyond, artist zines are going to be sold at local participating bookstores. This year, our guest of honor has been Tiny Splendor, a Riso printing press out of Berkeley, California. If you missed the Tiny Splendor Q&A, you can check that out on YouTube and Facebook. Was really a delight to get to see the Tiny Splendor space and just hear about their process and just how they got into Riso printing. It's really fascinating. You can see the 20th anniversary San Francisco Zine Fest poster, which was designed by Tiny Splendor's Sana Khan and was printed at Tiny Splendor. Tiny Splendor also invited 3 guests to do readings for Cyberfest. Those 3 guests were Ocean Escalante, Samantha Espinoza, and Tamago Sidore. And they were part of our Thinking Captions panel, which you can also see on YouTube and Facebook. Want to let everyone know about our Safer Spaces policy. We are committed to providing a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of gender, gender identity, expression, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, or religion. We will not tolerate harassment at SFZF events in any form. Individuals violating the Safer Spaces policy may be sanctioned or expelled from the space or the event at the discretion of any SF Zine Fest organizer. We ask that everyone respect people's opinions, beliefs, differing states of being, and differing points of view. Always get explicit verbal written consent before taking someone's photo or crossing other personal boundaries. Be responsible for your actions and aware that they may have an effect on others regardless of your original intent. And please remember that a safe and respectful community is everyone's responsibility. Guidelines for Zoom. This is a little looser for this event because this is a bigger party event. But we do ask that if you don't want to be on camera, to please keep your video off. It also just helps prevent lagging. If there are too many people on, it can be a little taxing for Zoom. Keep yourself on mute unless you wish to be heard. For people who are panelists in this webinar, you have the chat available to you and you can talk, ask questions, comment, complement each other in the chat. The chat is only available to the panelists in this webinar. People who are attendees can ask questions using the Q&A feature. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you can talk in the live chat, and things that you say can come back to us in the webinar. ASL interpretation is being provided by Kevin Abrams and Aaron Webbs, and we are very grateful to them. Please be mindful to folks who are blind or visually impaired by being specific or descriptive when sharing your work. So if you want to show something to us today, that's great. Just describe what you're talking about so that we're as accessible as possible. And also be aware that the Zoom webinar is being recorded and broadcast to YouTube and Facebook. And above all, please be respectful. Want to give a shout out to the CyberFest Rebooted organizing team. The behind the scenes work happens with a lot of people, a lot of volunteers, a lot of exhibitors, a lot of people helping us out, a lot of significant others who get roped into doing things for us. There are 4 people on our core CyberFest, our core San Francisco Zine Fest organizing team. Our fearless leader is Anand Bedawala. Anand is a queer South Asian artist, writer, and educator based in Oakland. He's currently a kindergarten teacher and one of the organizers of San Francisco Zine Fest. His self-published first book, 100 Years From Now, Our Bones Will Be Different, with artist Lawrence McWilliams, received a star review from Publishers Weekly. In 2018, his zine, Hair, was awarded Best Zine and Best Perzine by Broken Pencil Zine Awards. He is going to sleep well tonight. Maybe he'll sleep for at least 8 hours, finally. I have my doubts, but we'll see if Anand manages to get a full night's sleep tonight. And you can find more of Anand's work at anandbedawala.com. Avi Jetter is another one of our organizers. Avi Jetter writes, draws, and self-publishes the comic book Nothing Good Ever Happens at 4 a.m. A huge horror and gore movie fan, she loves anything sci-fi or weird, from B horror movies to classic monster movies to underground comics and animation. Just recently, she began writing and drawing perzines with topics ranging from personal health to politics to social commentary and mental health and wellness. Avi also helps to organize community events like San Francisco Zine Fest and Oakland Creates, which you should all check out. And you can find more of Avi's work at nothinggood@4.com. And you can also find her at nothinggood@4 on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I am Lauren Davis. I am a Berkeley-based cartoonist, comic book writer, educator, and San Francisco Zine Fest organizer. I'm part of the Triple Dream Comic Studio with Melanie Hilario and Katie Launchaway. The 3 of us created the graphic novel Debbie and Pearl Digital Detective. We've had our work appear in the Nib, and we're currently working on our 2nd graphic novel. And you can find more of my work at elledee.com. Michaela Payne. Michaela Payne is a San Francisco Zine Fest co-organizer since 2018, coordinating volunteers and social media. As a queer bi person, Michaela has always loved consuming and promoting zines and the arts, and gives back through editing, volunteer work, and being a board member at Sacramento's Lavender Library. Michaela is responsible for wrangling all of our volunteers. Obviously we couldn't make any of this happen without our volunteers. So it's been a very important job. And yes, her name is pronounced Michaela, as she reminds me at the bottom of the slide. Thank you. Uses the pronouns they, them, her name, their name, and she. And I'm not sure what's going on with the Instagram handle here, Michaela, but it looks very intimidating. And I just want to give you a little bit of information, some numerical information about CyberFest Rebooted. Anand has kindly gathered some statistics for us. And here they are. We have had one guest of honor this year. I'm going to try not to slip into the count from Sesame Street voice while I read these off. We had 2 in-person events, bookbinding workshops at Rock, Paper, Scissors, which is the reason that Anand is not here right now, because he's on his way back from Rock, Paper, Scissors. We had 3 invited guests for our Thinking Captions panel. We had 3 participating bookstores, which are selling zines from San Francisco Zine Fest exhibitors. Those 3 shops are Silver Sprocket, Mission Comics and Art, and Dog Ear Books Castro, which is soon to be Fabulosa. And so you can find all those places in San Francisco. 4 lead organizers, whom we just introduced. Oh, and I see that Anand has mysteriously reappeared. Anand, do you want to take over from here?
Not at all. Go ahead.
Okay, I will finish reading the slide. We had exhibitors from 8 different countries. We had 9 consecutive days of events, which flew by, I'm amazed. Exhibitors from 15 different states, 17 events in total, more than 20 volunteers, 80 exhibitors, and 167 plus hours have been watched on YouTube. Hooray! Nice to know that everybody is out there actually watching the things that we do here. All right, and with that, I am going to turn this over to Anand. Hi, Anand.
Hello, everyone. How are you? I just came in from another one of our events, the in-person bookbinding workshop with Rock, Paper, Scissors Collective. So yes, glad to be here. Let me share my screen now. We can continue. Has everyone already introduced themselves? I'm assuming.
Did we've read off the organizer slides.
Nice. Oh, okay. I mean, great. I guess that is what I was wondering, if folks had introduced themselves, at least in the chat, and the organizers had introduced themselves. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen and also talk about our invited guests. So as you know, we had 3 invited guests this year. They were Ocean Escalante, Samantha Espinoza, and Tamiko Sidori. They were invited by Tiny Splendor, who's our guest of honor. And these 3 folks got to talk about their work and talk about themselves during our Thinking Captions zine reading, which was hosted and moderated by Avi Cheddar, one of our other organizers who you already met. As you know, guest of honor is Tiny Splendor. This is Max and Sana. They were awesome. If you didn't get to see the Q&A with our guest of honor that happened yesterday, you can find it on our YouTube and on Facebook as well. And actually, let me see, are they here? Are Max or Sana here? Just a quick thing. I'm going to assume they're watching because I wanted to share the next slide here, which is that we got this awesome certificate of recognition for Tiny Splendor. And it's signed by Assemblymember David S. Chu of the 17th Assembly District. And the certificate reads, "This certificate is presented to Tiny Splendor in recognition of being named Guest of Honor at the 20th Annual San Francisco Zine Fest. Your leadership in Bay Area zine, comics, and self-publishing communities embodies the best of our city. The California Legislature applauds your efforts to enrich the lives of communities through arts and culture in San Francisco and beyond." Yay. And just want to tell Max and Sanad that I'll actually hand deliver the certificate to you all, hopefully this coming week. But I have it on me. No, it's not just a photo that they presented you with. It's an actual certificate. Yeah, this is, now we kind of wanted to just get to know all the folks who are watching, whether you are watching our stream on Facebook or YouTube, or are here on the webinar as part of, like, as panelists or as attendees. Here's some questions to consider, and I'm going to stop sharing for that because I can just talk about those questions and we can all see each other's faces. First question is, what is something you remember about Cyberfest Rebooted? Feel free to share in the comments or in the chat. And folks who are panelists, you can unmute yourself and turn on your video if you'd like to and share. What is something you remember?
Can I speak? My
Yeah.
name is Gloria from Flores Couture. And let me try to pretend to do my video. I look horrible. I have no makeup on and I really don't care. So
You're awesome. Go ahead.
thank you. I want to share really quickly. San Francisco means a lot to me. My grandfather went up as a bracero, as an engineer, and he worked in the Pacific Railroad in San Francisco. He followed the law, and after his license or permit or whatever was done, he left San Francisco, took his money, and went to Guadalajara, Mexico, and he built 3 city blocks. He also started a union in Guadalajara, Mexico, because he was so influenced by San Francisco and the belief in workers' rights. He took that to Guadalajara with him. My mom just passed away on March 1st. I drove up as far as I could to deliver my zines so they can be distributed in a city that means a lot to me, that's very close to my heart. I only made it so far. Grief overtook me. But I thank everyone for this opportunity to share my work, to share my zines, and to share what San Francisco means to me and why San Francisco is so close to my heart. Thank you for the organizers. Thank you everyone for all your hard work. Thank you.
Gloria, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm glad you were able to share that with all of us, and also share your work with us, and you continue to make your work as well. Gloria's work Gloria's works or zines are being sold at Silver Sprocket in San Francisco. So you can support Gloria that way as well. Would anyone else like to share something they remember about San Francisco and San Francisco Zine Fest? I'm going to share that I remember just how much more sleep I'm getting this Zine Fest as opposed to last year. I should also turn on my video. All right. Yes, last year was rough. It was our first time attempting a virtual fest, and we bit off not more than we could chew because we were able to chew it. I mean, we did it. We did those 21 days last year, but not with a lot of sleep. And this year, thanks to volunteers and of course the organizers and everyone, like we were able to do this year. So I will remember how much more rest I was able to get this year. Would anyone else like to share?
I guess I'm just going to say I have, I don't know if it's the unique, I don't know, you might have been at every event, but I've been at every event of San Francisco Zine Fest this year, and just seeing everybody's work has just been so incredible. And I don't know, it's just I always just am so impressed by the community here, and just the things that people are just like pouring themselves into. I admire you all. And it's been a real privilege to just be here and watch you all do your thing.
if it wasn't already shared earlier, Lauren does all of our tech. As you can see from Lauren's background, Lauren controls everything that happens virtually for SF Zine Fest and beyond the virtual world as well. So Lauren has been on every single event that we've had, including the 2 in-person events where I'm in person and Lauren is there on the webinar recording as well. If no one has anything to share, we can move on to the next question, which kind of ties in. And it's like, what is something that made you laugh or get into your feels this year?
I was just gonna piggyback a little bit on what Lauren said about, excuse me, the support, the community here in San Francisco. Everyone seems so generous with their support for each other and encouragement for each other to keep creating their zines. And they not only just give praises, but they buy each other's zines and go out and promote each other's zines and comics and share on social media. So yeah, this is a really one of the rare communities where people are so supportive of, well, not rare, but it's really wonderful that people are so supportive of each other.
Also, if you don't want to go on camera to share, you are welcome to write in the chat as well. Thank you, Avi, for sharing that. I agree. It's, again, just right now my brain is still in the in-person workshop that I just came from because it went on for like 2.5 hours. But just seeing folks coming together to teach each other and support one another, like helping each other while we were at that workshop as well. And yeah, there's this community-centric environment that we have within the zine community, which is always wonderful and awesome to experience year after year. And I think we needed that, especially after this past 1.5 years that we've all had. Just knowing that there are people in our world, in our lives, who we can rely on, who we can look to, and who we can gather with to make art, to share our experiences with, and to share our feelings with.
Anand, this
Yes.
is Flora from Flores Couture.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make one comment.
Mhm.
I met Avi at the Claremont Zine Fest, I believe back in 2018. And when I met her, she is a ray of sunshine. Her zines, the 4 a.m. comics, I just reviewed it at OC Orange County Zine Fest this year when I did their live.
Mhm.
And it's because I couldn't tag you. I'm so glad that we met up again today, even though it's virtually. But you have influenced me, and you are so generous with your time and your knowledge and your experience. Like, I want to take the moment to say, you're one of the really great organizers that really does reach out to us outside of the community. I'm in Pomona. Hi. But, you're a strong influence on me.
Thank you so much. You are awesome too. I mean, you just lit up. You made my day at Claremont. So I really, man, I feel the same way.
Thank you. And sorry, Avi keeps getting auto-corrected to Annie. And I'm sorry, Avi. I was
Oh,
like,
that's okay.
Avi. One of the things I'm remembering, something that, again, the 9 days seem like a total blur right now, but one of the things, again, that I always find amusing, and I think I told Snake Scenes also, is just how young they are, but all the work that they've created, and how they always seem like one of the most professional folks we ever come across, and that they're so on top of everything that they're doing.
You may have to clarify why you're impressed by Snake Scenes.
So I personally am not an organized person. I personally am not. Like, my classroom is a mess. Even my 5-year-old students are just like, Mr. V, you need to clean this. I'm like, I know. You can help me. I tend to just throw things on my desk. I try sometimes to clean up, but anyway, regardless of what my classroom is like, impressed by snake scenes nonetheless. Super amazing and awesome folks. Kids, you're very young. Would anyone
So
else like to share?
anybody,
Oh.
sorry on it. Anybody who missed that presentation, Snake Scenes, how old are they now? They've been making work for like 6 years, I think. I'm going to link to them, but they are really holding it down. And it was also super cool to see Luis's daughter come through with her zines today, Maya. So that was really cool. I feel like the digital format has made it a little bit like less kid accessible in a way, because we ordinarily have the kid section. So it's very cool to see them come through.
I think Maya's here. I saw Maya just a second ago.
Cool.
Hello, Maya. But yeah, one of the other things that we did differently this year were the bookstores, like collaborating with bookstores. That's something we hadn't done before. So an awesome aspect of this year was meeting the folks who dropped off their zines in person. I see Popper's the Pony right there, and they dropped them off at my doorstep also. Yeah, just getting, and it made me go out to the bookstores as well in San Francisco, because then I had to drop off these zines. And then Lauren's partner and my partner also had to drop off zines and books at different bookstores. But it was nice just seeing a lot of the zine makers and artists in person. It was a good feeling this year. So really hoping next year in person, we're gonna will it. Just collectively hope for it, pray for it, and it's going to happen. It's gonna happen safely. We'll all be there. Talking about what a silly thing all this Cyberfest stuff was. Ha ha ha, could you believe it?
And not to change the subject, but I want to share something that made me smile, and that is your purple hair, Kevin. It is awesome. I love it. I wanted to mention it before the camera was rolling, but your hair is amazing. I love it. It's so gorgeous.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next question is, what is something you wish you had done differently this year? No, it doesn't have to be about Cyberfest. You know, this is more about your life in general. What is something you wish you had done differently this year? Could be about Cyberfest, but also just our year so far.
Feels like a trick.
Finished the zine before Zine Fest. I didn't get, and I've been working on 5 of them and none of them are done yet. So finished one of them.
Yeah, that's always, I think that's an ongoing thing. Every year we're just like, there were so many, and then it's like, well, maybe one got done, but not all. Okay, I'm gonna stop talking because it seems like some of the other folks want to talk and I keep talking over them. Sorry.
I too wish I had gotten a zine done in time for the fest. I did have I've had a lot of other competing deadlines, and then I wish I'd gotten my tomato plants in the ground 2 months sooner. But that is life. What are we going to make of it? There's next year.
If I may speak, my name is Gloria from Flores Couture. I wish I would have stopped making so many commitments and stopped trying to do so many projects and focused on what is special for me and, you know, be more focused. So that's what I'm going to do from here until the end of the year.
Overcommitting is definitely relatable. I think we all do that. But yeah, good for you for recognizing that and wanting to change that and do something about that. Michaela, how about you? What is something you wish you had done differently? Just cold calling people now.
Yeah, okay, now this really feels like a trap. Very heavy questions on it, not letting you do the questions again. This year, well, speaking of overcommitting, I'm really glad that we did keep it to just 9 days instead of 3 weeks. So I'm pretty proud of us for like not going as hard as we foolishly did last time. You know, this year's been a weird one. Feels very far away. I don't know. Too many things. You want the list? I'll make a zine. It'll be 100 pages of the things I could have done differently this year.
Okay, so it'll be in for next year. We'll
Yeah.
wait for it. And then Lauren, how about you? Any little thing?
Something that I feel like there are so many, like, I don't know, my mind is very on Zine Fest, but I feel like all the Zine Fest stuff that I would do differently is so inside baseball that nobody wants to hear it. I don't know. I mean, yeah, probably I should have made more zines or kept a diary or all those things, but you know, I'll be here next year to regret the same things. So it's okay.
We'll all be here to regret together of all of our things that we're like, oh yeah, remember the lessons we supposedly learned from this year? We kept a note of it, but then did we follow through with those lessons? So okay, I'll talk about something school related, of course, because it's either zine or schools. Something I wish I'd done differently is, and again, it's only the beginning of the year, but try to have one-on-one conferences with my students' parents right off the bat. We had like a group session online, and some of them I met in person, but I connected with one family recently and got to learn way more about them because I connected with them one-on-one. I mean, given that took away an hour and 15 minutes just for one family, but I learned so much, and now I'm better prepared to support their child as they start kindergarten. I mean, the last time these kids were in a school setting was when they were 3.5 years old. And now we're expecting them to be in a school with a stranger. It's like, yeah, now you have a teacher, this person who you're just with now. So they're having a hard time adjusting. So I think I will have to do that. And again, as teachers, we do connect with families one-on-one. We do make phone calls and do all this other thing. And of course, when report cards come around, we again have conferences. But I think like this year, because of how unique the last year and a half has made everything, I need to have more of those one-on-one conferences right away, just so I can get to know the families as well. Okay, let's see I'm gonna skip. The next question was, what's something you'd like to share now? But it doesn't have to be a thing. Yeah, it could be. What is something that's on your mind that you'd like to share with us? Enlighten us. Or don't enlighten us and just lead us astray. No pressure.
I actually have a question for everybody. If you could be a professional athlete, what would you like if you were totally capable and everything in a fantasy world, alternate universe? If you could be a professional athlete, what sport would you play?
AV.
Boxing.
What was that?
I didn't want to speak over anybody. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. You can go.
AV, I would be a professional ballerina. I am obsessed with ballerinas. I am obsessed with Fantasia, and that is what I would be.
Nice. Somebody else said something.
I said boxing. I would like to be in this alternate world, a boxer.
Sweet. Anybody else?
I think I would like to be one of the gymnasts because it's as close to flying as I can imagine. And that looks really cool.
So this is in an alternate universe where we could make up any sport that we can dream of? Like, this is a
You-
big question.
Or no, it's just a universe where you have all the capabilities, the talent to do it. You could make up a sport, but alternate as in there's no physical drawbacks. Like you could totally do whatever sport you want to.
Oh yeah, sick. Okay, I'm gonna think on it for another few seconds.
I was going to say, go ahead, Lauren, but all right, go ahead.
Oh, I would say something like mountain climbing or like open water swimming, something where I could be outside a lot, and I don't know, something adventure-y.
On the opposite side of that spectrum, something enclosed like racquetball, where I'm just in a box, but it's a class. I took a racquetball class in my undergrad and I loved it. It was great. And then I moved to the Bay Area and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to play racquetball here. There must be free courts somewhere. And Golden Gate Park does have racquetball courts, but they're concrete. So then you can't really hit or slide or do anything, and they don't have a ceiling. So it's not really a racquetball court. It's just a concrete box. And so you get hurt. So
Wow.
I got weaned off of playing racquetball because of San Francisco. Thank you.
I would totally do I do tennis too, but
Yeah.
not on concrete.
They do have handball courts in Golden Gate Park, like right next to these supposed racquetball courts. But they say you cannot play racquetball here. But I'm like, you have the markings, the stripings, everything's in there for racquetball. But they're like, no, this is only strictly for handball. It's like, no one's playing here. It's okay. I don't have a grudge at all. See, I don't remember this from 10 years ago that it happened.
Be a
Michael,
rebel, Anand. Be a rebel. Do whatever you want.
I was gonna say, see if they shut you down.
so Michaela, did you come up with your sport? The world has turned off your voice. It seems we can't hear you. Okay, a non-tearjerker question, Michaela, this time, because I just got accused of only having tearjerker questions. What is your one true regret? No, I'm kidding. What are you doing this weekend is the question. We all had a long weekend and 2 of those days just got used up for SF Zine Fest. What is everyone doing for Monday? Yes, and Monday would have, yeah. Well, Monday, I was going to say Monday would have been the day we had SF Zine Fest, but that's not true. We have it on the Sunday today.
Can I go? Well, for Monday, well, just a little quick background. I'm a student at San Francisco State, as well as the president of the Comic Arts Club at the university. So for Monday, I would just say going to the gym just to de-stress, but then unfortunately I had to be stuck in my room for 4 hours doing reading for class assignments, as it's my last semester at the university in my program.
That's rough, but also congrats on it being the last semester. It feels great when.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I share next? My name is Gloria from Flores Couture. So again, because I'm crazy, I am currently trying to finish 2 zines and 3 pieces for a September 11th show that I'm curating in downtown Pomona. And then, of course, I overcommitted. And I'm also showing 3 pieces at Artist in the Alley. So I need to get that done. And I have to create 2 zines to go along with that. So, that's all. Just, coffee and, yeah.
It sounds like we're all working tomorrow. No, I have a friend he's a principal, and he's like, "Yeah, I have to go back into school tomorrow." I'm like, "But it's our day off." I'm not going back into school tomorrow, but I do have to lesson plan for the coming week a little bit more and follow up with students who need supports. But I will be also going out for sushi in like a long time with some friends, so that'll be nice.
I didn't realize it was a long weekend or Labor Day or anything like that. So no plans. So I'll come to sushi.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, never mind. There is no sushi. I was kidding. Haha.
Okay.
No. Now, why didn't you realize it was a long weekend? Is it
'Cause
because
I've
life has
been-
become a blur?
Yeah, I've been a little busy.
Yeah, I can imagine. Netflix, yes. Yes, that must be it. No? A festival, maybe?
Yeah.
I'm currently neglecting my significant other's birthday. So after this, I'm getting back to paying attention to him.
It's fine. There'll be another one next year.
I might update my website, make stuff, put stuff on sale.
Oh, I see.
Maybe.
Gabriel. Oh, go ahead.
I said maybe I'll put stuff on sale.
Gabriel mentioning that Scott working on writing on his second novel. Congrats. Reminds me, I also need to submit an outline to my agent that I haven't. I was just like, yeah, I'll give it to you at the end of July. And that just SF Zine Fest took over. Took over everything, all aspects of our lives. And it's ending today. On a positive note, what a great success.
Yeah, let's remember this is a party.
Yes. No
Woo-hoo.
tears. No tears.
But good luck to all of us.
Mhm. But also remember that Bay Area Queer Zine Fest is starting tomorrow. So I know some of you all are probably involved with that. So definitely check them out. Check it out. I forget if I actually haven't had time to check in on the details recently. I don't know if there is an in-person element to it this year, or if it's all virtual this year. And I think Michaela's looking it up now, so maybe they'll. Oh my gosh, Bay Area Queer Zine Fest! Definitely look it up for next year. And of course, there's eBabes, and it's the East Bay Alternative Book and Zine Fest. That happens. I forget when it's happening this year, maybe December, but Rock, Paper, Scissors Collective is also involved with that as well. Yeah, the cool thing about the Bay Area is that like starting August through I'd say December, or maybe actually even going into January, we just turn into like a zine and comic fest area, like just constantly there's one after another and one after another, especially in September. So if you feel like, hey, there aren't any zine fests around, like you're probably not seeing them. There's definitely one going on somewhere. So check it out. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the slideshow just to kind of close out, unless someone has any other thoughts they'd like to share. We're happy to hear them out.
I have one last thing to share.
Mhm.
As I said, I was I'm president of the Comic Arts Club here at the university, and this goes back to the question of regret, I believe, which is I wish I had more time to be president of the club, because I have so many ideas for the club to do stuff on campus, to do stuff for the zine. I actually got a chance to see our issue 4 of our zines that we never got to see since we were all distant, and I just got a chance to see it with other members, and it's really, really cool. And I wish I just had more time as president to just get all my ideas out before I have to leave. But hopefully I can get most of them out before the next couple of months.
Nice. Anyone else? The regret question just reminded me of me doing, I guess, something that I would do, in that at two friends' weddings. At one point that they said, turn and talk to someone sitting next to you and ask them something to get to know them. And I don't know why, and this is from a few years back. I happened to ask them what's something they regretted in life as a way, something like at a stranger at a wedding. And I remember they said they thought about it, and I only learned about this and how much that question had affected them when they posted about it on social media, saying how they are pursuing more arts and how it kind of ended a relationship they were in because they were like, oh, I need to make changes in my life. But it stemmed from that question. So I don't regret asking that question to a complete stranger at friend's wedding because it turned into a positive thing for them. But I don't think I will ask another stranger that question at the next wedding. So you're welcome, strangers.
I probably have a regret that I'm gonna correct. This is Gloria from Flores Couture. The only regret I have is I didn't make it to deliver my zines personally, but I'm gonna go up to one of the bookstores and pick up one of my zines because that would be a mission complete. So it's a regret, but it's not. It's just kind of like an opportunity to fix something that I missed.
Yeah, it's like an unfinished promise or a promise that is soon to be finished. And that's great. Well, we'll see you in the Bay. Okay. We would also like to, we just did the last question, and then we'd love to thank the volunteers. And actually, I'll have Michaela, can you please thank these folks? So Michaela is our volunteer coordinator and social media coordinator. And if you don't see the invisible other hats that Michaela is wearing, lots of other coordination is done through Michaela as well.
Yes, we all do a lot, but we really, truly couldn't do it without the volunteers. The volunteers come through for us every year. And this year, going into the second Cyberfest, it was very, very crucial for all of us to have some work delegated to volunteers. So they helped us so much. We have a bunch of people. And one thing that they really, really helped with was our online accessibility efforts, including alt text and ASL interpretation, promoting the events on social media before, during, and after all of the events, moderating the live chats, dropping links, making sure that people's web stores are added so that their zines can be purchased, and helping create the labor-intensive exhibitors directory on our website, especially our volunteer Cordelia, I hear, was really involved with that, and helping make 150 graphics for promoting each and every one of the SF Zine Fest exhibitors on social media. Each exhibitor gets 2. It's a lot of work, and the volunteers did so much of that this year that I was able to only make 1 of the graphics and the template instead of like 70, which really made it possible for me to not stay up until 6 a.m. multiple days during Zine Fest. So that was great. And then also the volunteers always help us with insights about how we can improve the overall Zine Fest experience. And this year they also delivered and put up some festival posters around. One volunteer even made a mini zine library outside of their place, and generally being super generous with their time and labor. And then I have a couple more general shout outs on the next page. So super special thanks to any of the volunteers who took the lead on a project, like the folks who made the graphics, like the folks who helped with accessibility, but really everybody really came through for us. I feel like our digital accessibility is getting better through the work of volunteers year after year. Also, special thanks to anyone who returned to volunteer again this year. We even had help from one of our guests of honor last year who really came through and just couldn't get enough. Also, big help from people who showed up to volunteer for the first time. We always get some people who are curious about zines and haven't been involved with Zine Fest at all, and then decide to get involved through volunteering, which is super cool. And also we had a volunteer who was an exhibitor this year and helped us a lot. And people who turned over their own social media feeds to promoting Zine Fest. Really super cool. And everyone's welcome to come back and volunteer next year. It's really not that much work. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah. Again, just say again how much more sleep all the organizers got this year.
Not a lot.
Not a lot, but still
more.
compared to, yes, more.
Yeah.
There was I had attended it and like a webinar thing regarding like teaching and teaching kids and how to make everything accessible. And someone, a presenter said, we're so used to saying practice makes perfect, but that's not something that's a growth mindset. What we should be saying is practice makes progress. And I really appreciated that as a mindset to have when I'm working with kids, but also when I'm doing anything. So Cyberfest rebooted, while not perfect, we're like, you know what? We made so much more progress this year. And getting more sleep was part of that progress. Still not enough sleep that we needed, but yes, progress nonetheless.
Yep. Couldn't have done it without them.
Yes, we couldn't have done it without the volunteers. So actually, hopefully the volunteers got sleep too. Maybe the volunteers will need volunteers next year so they can get sleep as well.
So we'll appoint a volunteer coordinator for among the volunteers. I'm not coordinating that part, sorry.
It'll just be turtles all the way down of just volunteers stacked and helping each other. Okay, moving on, I'm getting distracted. We would also like to thank these volunteers for providing ASL interpretation. Kevin Abrams, Rob Marino, Norma Sanchez, Nicole Watson, and Aaron Webbs. Kevin is actually there interpreting right now. We would also like to thank Pro Bono ASL for providing interpreters for 3 of our events as well. You can learn more about them on probonoasl.com. Our collaboration with Bay Area Bookstores, we are so grateful to Silver Sprocket and Mission Comics and Art and Dog-Eared Books, which is soon to be renamed Fabulosa, for working with us this year and selling exhibitors zines. Remember, San Francisco Zine Fest exhibitor zines are available for purchase at the bookstores throughout the month of September. And the bookstores also wanted us to let you all know that you can reach out to them as well, even if you're not part of SF Zine Fest. If you make zines and say, hey, I would like to sell my zines at the bookstore, you can reach out to them. And you should. Here are some photos from the bookstores that we took a week ago. I'd say we're just adding more zines as we get them, as we receive them from our exhibitors. In the one on the left, you can see this poster that says official bookseller or zine seller for SF Zine Fest here. So they're kind of marked in a way for designated areas where you know where to look for San Francisco Zine Fest exhibitors. You can learn more about where a particular exhibitor's zines are being sold by going to sfzinefest.org. And of course, support San Francisco Zine Fest. Please support. as you mentioned previously in a different event, that a lot of the income that we generate to like hold this festival, to pay our artists, to pay our guest of honor and invited guests and workshop facilitators, our interpreters, everyone really is through our in-person tabling fees. And when we have a virtual fest, we don't really have tabling fees. We also don't have a venue space we're paying for, but we still need to pay for all the folks who do present with us. So we rely on donations and of course, folks buying our merch, whether it's apparel on Bonfire. And this year we have t-shirts and hoodies, specifically 20th anniversary ones, because this year is our 20th anniversary. These were designed by Sana Khan of Tiny Splendor, our guest of honor. You can also buy merch, including stickers and the official poster. There are only 20 copies of the Riso printed 11x17 posters. You can learn all about this on our SF Zine Fest store. And the poster also was printed and designed by Tiny Splendor. We'd love to thank our volunteer ASL interpreters. Again, it's Kevin Abrams and Aaron Webbs who are interpreting this event today. And we'd like to recognize Intersection for the Arts. SF Zine Fest is a member of Intersection for the Arts, which is a bedrock Bay Area arts nonprofit that provides people working in arts and culture with fiscal sponsorship and resources to grow. We couldn't be an organization without their help, like right now, so we're really grateful for them as well. And actually, I'm gonna go back a little, stop sharing, and if anyone has something to add or share, please go ahead. If not, we can close out the event. I just saw lots of things happening in chat and I was like, what's happening? What's happening? Oh, links are being posted to our Square, to our shop, and it's sfzinfest.square.site/s/shop.
Anand, just want to give a huge kudos and shout out to you for being an awesome leader and director and all your hard work. I know you have a lot on your plate already, but yeah, just thank you to you for working so hard.
Thank you. Kudos all around to the organizers as well, to Avi and Lauren and Michael for being awesome. We just keep chugging along. It's happening, guys. 20 more years. Lauren will still be here. Lauren has been part of SF Zine Fest for decades, maybe a millennia. I don't know anymore.
Wow.
Lauren was there before Zine Fest was there.
That was a good one. I think he was just checking to see if you were listening. A
what I
millennial.
Yeah, that's what I get for dropping links in the live chat instead of paying attention.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you all. Oh, also, Tiny Splendor has a really cool event coming up, and I lost the link to it, so I don't remember what it was, but there was something about it. Anybody?
It's a zine making event with Cynthia T. Navarro at it's through the Los Angeles Public Library.
And it's on September 15th.
Yeah, and it looks like you can join in person or online.
And yes, okay, I found the link. I'm dropping it in the chat.
Okay, check out the link, everyone.
So the folks who are in the LA area, we would love to have you go to that and tell us how it was.
Yeah, and I'm gonna send it to everyone as well.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm gonna end it with our ending screen. Yay, SF Zine Fest 2021,
Yay.
Cyberfest rebooted. That's it.
Woohoo,
We're
we
done.
made it.